Come on in, everyone. Come on in, everyone, because yes, I'm back. I am back. I'm renewed. I'm refreshed. Y'all had a lot going on. Life be a life. And so when life be life in, sometimes you just need to take a little break to get yourself together. Get yourself together. That's what I had to do. Get myself together so that when I came back here on these YouTube channel, I could come back with a clear mind, y'all. A clear mind. Y'all know how it happens when things collide, work, family, job, everything collide at one time. It ain't nothing bad. Don't worry about me because I all of y'all sometimes y'all ask me, am I okay? I'm okay. Ain't nobody bleeding, nobody in the hospital, nobody dead. Um, Nothing really, really, really bad. It's just a collision of a lot of things at one time. And what do y'all do when you get overwhelmed? Do you go outward or do you go inward? Me personally, when I'm overwhelmed, I go inward. I go inward. I mean, I got to solve all my issues, all my problems first before I extend out. Once I extend out, then that's me saying, I'm ready. I'm ready to receive all new stuff. But when I'm overwhelmed, I got to go in. I got to go in. I hunker down. I batch it down the hatch. I do it all. That's why I say shoot. And when I go quiet, I'm working on something. I am working on something. But anyway, I'm back just in time. Better late than never on this Netflix Love is Blind. And you know what? I think this is going to be an interesting journey for me and hopefully for y'all too, because typically we are reviewing things in real time, right? Not a lot of information. But now I'm over here bringing up the rear on Love is Blind. Y'all all the way down the road, so I'm watching real time what's going on in the streets and the YouTube blogs, everything else. But then I'm over here on episode one. That's right. I'm on episode one. But I'm not going to be reviewing it because that would be boring for all y'all for me to go back and review these episodes after you've watched them and probably don't watch two or three bloggers or recap them. So we ain't doing that. We are not doing that. But I got a couple of questions because, over here we think a little bit. We like Vic and Christine. We emotionally intelligent. We over here asking the right questions, right? To get to the bottom of things, the root of things. We're not just going to go with surface level. So I see out here in these streets, everybody's loving Vic and Christine. I hope I fall in love with them too. Like I said, I've only really seen episode one. That's it. So I haven't fallen in love yet, but I do like all the things I've been seeing in the blog. I'm like, ooh, do we got a winner? Do we got a winner? And when I said, do we got a winner? I'm also thinking, hey, Netflix, what is going on here? It seems as if when you look back on Netflix, y'all, work with me, work with me. When you look back on Netflix and you look at the winning couples, I want to say that the majority of them are interracial couples. That's what I want to say. That's what I want to say. I want to say is Love is Blind. Is this show proving that interracial couples can have a high degree of success? And that when you peel away Love is Blind, when you peel away all these other things, you actually can find real compatibility in not only interracial relationships, but intercultural relationships. I've been saying this. I know folks get mad down in the comments when I be saying this kind of stuff. And I say it particularly to people who are out there struggling to find their match. And they keep thinking that they really are expanding sort of their world of who they might be interested in. But I always say, have you gone outside your race? Have you gone outside the color of your skin, cultural identity? Because if you look back on all these couples that have made it, right? Who we got out there? We got, hey, you know what? I'm gonna first start with AD and what's his name? Ali. I know y'all gonna say that's not interracial. That's not interracial, Auntie Deborah. It's intercultural because he's from the UK. And let me tell you something. Black people from the UK and black people from the US grew up differently. There are cultural differences. So I'm gonna say yes, there is still gonna be a blend of cultures when it comes to those two. I am gonna say that. You can look at John. Remember Johnny and the Latin girl, Amy. What's her name? Amy. She's Latin. He was white boy. Okay, interracial. Of course, Kwame and Chelsea, interracial, got together. You can even say Bliss and her man with their baby. They interracial. They absolutely are interracial. Even from the UK, you had Nicole and Benaya, interracial. That's what I'm saying. When you look back on all these couples, the ones that have made it, there are a lot of interracial couples that have made it. Why is this so? I touched on this a little bit, in my shows. Because, I do believe, me personally, I do believe that your traumas from your childhood can either positively or negatively affect your love relationships when you get an adult. And so I kind of have my own little theory about interracial relationships, why I think sometimes they work, because I think you don't necessarily always bring the same exact traumas. I think sometimes when you from the same place, you grew up the same kind of way, and you have so many things in common in terms of your history. The problem is, if you got double the same history of problems and trauma, then what happens is you bring double of that into the relationship. And sometimes, well, we just need a little bit of escape. Sometimes folks is running away from what was part of their childhood or growing up. So I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised right now if this couple, Vic and Christina, make it all the way. Um, because maybe it's a little bit of a reprieve, especially because I ain't gonna lie. Let me tell you. Okay, let's go with the general consensus out there that Vic and Christina are the best couple out here since sliced bread. Like I said, I only seen episode one, but I'm gonna just follow y'all. Normally I'm out here giving predictions, but right now I'm a follower. I'm following y'all, and y'all done told me the best couple since sliced bread, and they're gonna get married. And not only are they gonna get married, you guys are saying they gonna still be together at the reunion. Okay, let's go with that. So then what I'm gonna say is, first of all, let's talk about the Netflix lie, saying that the reason why they could not cover them in the honeymoon is because the Netflix bank account was overdrawn, and they couldn't put together no film crew for them. So they got cut from Mexico. Okay, we know that's a lie. Lies on top of lies on top of lies. You know why else I know it's a lie? Because where they sent them, okay, let's just say Netflix, we believe you. We don't. And I don't believe the one that y'all are telling either. So the story out there, the story consensus is the reason why Netflix didn't want to show Christina and Vic is because they're too normal. They don't have enough drama. They're too emotionally intelligent. And Netflix doesn't want to show healthy relationships on the television. I don't believe that. I don't believe that, because we've had other semi boring couples that have made it. Honestly, Amy and Johnny, I love them. I really did love them. I'm glad they're still together. I always thought they would be together. It wasn't as if they were really interesting. So I don't think Netflix has a problem keeping couples on that don't have to be so rah rah. Because in fact, what we've seen on other reality shows is when you do have one stable couple, sometimes it helps, because that stable couple ends up being sort of like a mentor to the other volatile couple. Sometimes it's like bringing in an older mom and dad and saying, okay, we so solid, let us help the other couple. So there could have been a role for Christine and Victor in all of their stability. So I don't think Netflix got rid of them for that. Let me tell you why I think Netflix got rid of them. I think Netflix stopped showing them because they didn't believe their story. That's what I believe. That's what I believe. I believe that the producers early on did not fully believe the story of Vic and Christine having fallen in love that fast, that close, that fast. And what they didn't want to happen is they didn't want a couple on here taking the audience for a ride, or the producers. One thing I know about the producers, they don't like to be played. They do not like to be played with. They do not want to spend their time with a couple who they believe is playing them. And I think early on, very early on, I think the I think the producers felt Christine and Vic was playing them. Now, why? Maybe it was the speed of it. Maybe it was what has been said out there that they didn't even shop around. They didn't even go look at it. It was almost as if they were just rushing to pick a person. Now here, now all y'all say it's not true. Y'all seen plenty of episodes. You're saying no, 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 no. There's a lot of things that they share, but I'm talking about earlier on. Early on, did the producers believe in it? Did the producers believe it's real? Because we've had those couples who lock in really fast and they're like, well, do y'all really know anything about each other? How are you locked in so fast? And so I'm going to talk about Christine and Vic. Emotionally intelligent, absolutely. Two very good people, absolutely. That's what I see. Like I said, I'm only on episode one. So I don't really have the benefit of looking forward in Christine and Vic's relationship like y'all do, because y'all have seen the episodes. So in my sort of looking at Christine and Vic, the only thing I have to do is to go backwards. What's backwards then? Backwards is what they tell me about their life. So what I know about Vic is a PhD. He's very smart, very intelligent, and he's into racial justice, criminal justice, racial disparity. This is his life. This is what he preaches. He's got a whole PhD in it. He writes papers on it. He talks about it all the time. And I'm thinking, if I'm a producer and I cast Vic on the show, I might have been expecting Vic to go after a black woman, right? Racial harm, hey, we the people. That might be what I expected, right? And that might be the story I wanted to be written. And so now I'm confused. I'm like, okay, you over here born and raised in Brooklyn. You come from Brooklyn. You see what I'm saying? I think his mama or his family's from the islands. I don't know if they're from the islands or something. And then all of a sudden, all of the we the people here in Black History Month, it goes out the window. I think the producers were a little bit taken aback. I think they were probably expecting him to go with Vic to at least give some of those other African American women a chance. Because you see, let me tell you something. There is a lot of talk on Netflix about the way black women are treated or viewed. There is, there is. Let's talk about it. Every single season, people talk about how Netflix wants to see black women done wrong, and I think Netflix has some pressure on them to make sure that they aren't disparaging black women. And so I think what they were hoping for was that we'd get this real nice black man on Netflix. A black man that a black woman would say, oh, he's a nice fella. He's a good man, Savannah. He's tall. He's socially conscious. He loves God. He got a good job. He got a good education. And so they're saying, ding, 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 ding. This is what black women have been asking us for. Give black women a chance to interact with these men. And lo and behold, that man comes on here. And what does he do? He chooses one of the first white women he sees. Like I said, like I told y'all, I don't have no problem with interracial relationships. I'm telling you, I actually think they work very well a lot of the times because you don't bring the same traumas into the relationship. Now, do you bring traumas? Absolutely, you do. Christine got hers, which brings me to another point. Brings me to another point. But I'm losing my chain of thought. But let me go back to Netflix Lives. So they say we don't have a bank account to film you. So they ship them off to Malibu. Malibu, y'all. Y'all know I'm from LA. Malibu. So you're in Hawaii filming the actual Netflix. You ship Christine and Vic off to Malibu, which is a stone's throw away from the whole Netflix headquarters. Y'all know Netflix headquarters is at least one of them or whatever is in LA. Y'all know that, right? So you mean to tell me you got a couple staying 5 miles up the road and you can't even send a cameraman from your headquarters to go film them in Malibu? You mean to tell me Vic and Christine got to film on an iPhone? Okay, that tells me that some producers are pissed off. That's what that tells me. They're not happy. All this, we ain't got no money. We can't make it. I got to wash my hair. I can't attend the wedding. We ain't got nobody to come. I'm sorry. I had another engagement, something else to do. I can't make it. That's all a lie. All a lie. So I'm going to use a little bit of my emotional intelligence to say that when someone tells you something like that, that's a lie. And what you got to ask yourself is, why would they lie? Why would they do it? Why would they treat Christine and Vic like this? We also found out, according to y'all, they're not even following each other on Instagram. Well, why not? Why aren't Vic and Christine following each other on Instagram? Oh, it's because they want to leave a little mystery. Who wants to leave mystery? Do Vic and Christine care if you know they're together or not? If they are together, why would they care if you knew, you the audience? So you say, oh no, it's Netflix. Netflix cares. They want to keep it a secret. Really? To the point that they would ban Christine and Vic from following each other on Instagram? That's what they would do? And is that a law? Is that a rule that if you're together, you can't follow each other? And why would Vic and Christine have any allegiance to Netflix when Netflix has treated them like, I don't know, like a kid they don't really want? They don't ship them off to another place. Didn't really give them a proper, like, whatever, not honeymoon or whatever you want to call it, retreat. They ain't got no screen time, according to y'all. Okay. And let me tell you, Casamigos, not Casamigos, that's the vodka. I mean, that's Casamigo, that's the tequila. Calamigos, whatever it's called over there in Malibu. It ain't cheap. So honestly, I'm quite sure that Malibu retreat costs more money than that Mexico retreat. I guarantee you, it costs more money to go stay at that Malibu retreat than it costs for them couples to go over to Mexico and stay in some all-inclusive resort for $1,500 for the whole week. Get out of here. I'm not believing it. I'm not believing it whatsoever. Um, so what I think is, I think the reason why they got banished to Malibu and they couldn't even send a crew from Burbank, wherever it is, LA, Playa Vista, over to Malibu to get a professional filming done, even a few clips, is because I think they didn't believe in the couple. I think they didn't believe them. I didn't think they believed them. Now, are they a believer now? Maybe. Do I think Christine and Vic are going to get married? I do. I do. I really, really, really do. Um, but the whole not following each other on Instagram, I'm a little bit worried about that, y'all. And then what I'm a little bit worried about is some of the things I saw in the clips. That maybe, I think, because you guys have seen so many more positive reactions from this couple, you're probably way more sold than I am. So, like I said, I'm only in the beginning. More than likely, I'm probably going to catch up with y'all and be right where y'all are. I'm going to be 5 feet in. But right now, all I have to go off of is what I know about the history of these two. And the history of these two is, I know that this guy, Vic, is from Brooklyn, New York. I know that he's pretty entrenched in racial disparity, racial inequities. He comes from an urban city. According to him, he grew up rough and tough. In fact, he went in the wrong direction. From what I read, he got held back in school because he was having a lot of problems in school. He turned his life around, turned to education. Looks like he turned to God. He became disciplined. He got into organized sports. He started to work out and he got a PhD. And then he moved from New York and, he moved over into Ohio, which is where he is now. He's a young man. He's only 34 years old, right? And he says he had a little bit of running along with marijuana, weed. He had a bit of run in. I'm sure coming from New York, he's lost some friends. He's either lost some friends to the system, he's lost some friends to death, he's just lost some friends in terms of their life just didn't go the right way. He's seen some things. And then you have Christine, who was sheltered, she says, in a rural um, state or rural town somewhere. I'm not even sure. Maybe it is in Ohio. Maybe it's a rural town in Ohio. And she says, she got in a little bit of trouble. She was a bit of a rebel. Y'all out there say that she's a Scorpio. I don't know much about horoscopes. Y'all say she's a Scorpio, and y'all say that he is a Virgo. And what's a Virgo? Is that compatible? Let's see. Is that compatible? Let me see. Let me type this. Okay, they say a Virgo man and a Scorpio woman pairing is highly compatible. They're a power couple match. based on mutual trust, loyalty, and blend of stability and passion. As an earth water combination, the Virgo man provides grounded, practical support, while the Scorpio woman brings intense emotional depth and loyalty. They often share strong communication and intellectual connection. So there you go. There you go. They say they are highly compatible. They say the only challenge that this couple, this pairing of horoscopes would bring is that Virgo's perfectionism and criticism can clash with Scorpio's intense possessiveness. And Virgo may sometimes be too reserved or detached for the deeply passionate Scorpio. I can see a little bit of that because that's how I look at uh that's how I look at what's his name, Vic. I think he is reserved. Um, which is nothing wrong with that because what's wrong with a little peace in your life? So I ain't even saying like it's a negative, but it says that the Scorpios got a little fire in them. And when those two personalities come together, can they balance well enough? I mean, I'm sure they can. You know, in this first episode, Christine said something very interesting about herself and her past dating history because you say, oh, these are two great people. Why haven't they found each other prior to Love is Blind? Why did it get to the point where they felt they need to come on Love is Blind? And so you say, well, Vic, I mean, shoot, you eligible back. I mean, what woman on the surface didn't want to go out with Vic, right? What is there? Christine, what man didn't want to go out with Vic? And what Christine told us in her background history was that guys fall for her on paper. So when someone says they fall for me on paper, they like my resume and they like my looks. But she says that's what they fall for, but they don't really get to know her. So what Christine is alluding to is the way she presents is not really the way she is all the way, right? And nothing's wrong with that. So people judge her on her outward appearance, her resume, her on paper, but when they get to know her, it feels different. So maybe there's this other side of Christine that's a little fiery, but hey, you know what? Sometimes a calm, reserved man needs a little spark in their life, right? Just as long as it's not too much, because Vic has said in his talk, his speech, when she asked him, do you have a history of dating outside of your race? Because she didn't want to be the first white woman he dated. He says, oh no, I've dated everyone. I've dated black women, Latino women, white women, everything. He says, what I like is I like a feminine woman who's intelligent. And what else did he say? Feminine, intelligent. Those were his key words. That's what I wrote down. So I don't know New York women. Sometimes New York women, y'all can be a bit rah rah, woo woo, woo woo woo. Y'all can get turned up. Let's not lie about it. Let's not lie about it. Y'all can get turned up. And what Vic is saying, I think what Vic is saying is the New York woman doesn't really vibe with him. He from New York. He from New York. But the New York woman personality, that side of those women that are more, you know, rough, tough, rah rah, really assertive, those won't vibe with him. The other New York women, because of course New York is not made up all the same type of women. We know that. Don't nobody, hey people, don't get offended. Don't get offended in these comments. But another thing that was interesting about the past, like I said, because I can't go to the future because I ain't watched the episodes coming up. But I was a little bit confused when y'all was saying how much you loved Christine's mom. So everyone in the sort of like going forward, it was like, oh, we love Christine's mom. And everyone was so happy about that. So that kind of confused me because I don't know if y'all remember in the first episode when Christine was talking about her background, she basically was saying that her mother has so much trauma that her mother is not healed and her mother won't go to therapy. And she didn't really have a good relationship with her mom. So I was surprised that the way Christine was talking about her mother and then how I saw the audience fall in love with her mom, I was like, okay, where is the disconnect? So I guess I'll have to see how Christine has talked about a really rocky relationship with her mother. In fact, Christine also says she hasn't even forgiven her dad. So Christine has very, um, what do you call it, detached or troubled relationships with both of her parents. But y'all have fallen in love with her mama. So I'm like, okay, what has changed? What has changed? Um, Vic talked about a little about his background and that he had to deal with a stepfather. I think where there might have been some DV in the family or with his mother, and they had to chase the man out the house. So I guess they tried to relate to each other that they both didn't grow up with a white picket fence childhood, right? They both have this wild side to them as children, a rebellious side, but it seems more that Vic has gotten rid of the rebellious side. And now we would have to say, okay, Christine, have you maintained some of yours? And will that rebellious or Scorpio side of you still be contained enough that it won't make Vic uneasy and unsettled? Because sometimes when you grow up, as Vic is describing, in a world full of maybe chaos, trauma, violence, whatever, you just want a nice, peaceful life. You trying to run away from that. You're not really trying to have it go forward. You're like, listen, I want a drama-free life. I don't want none of that. I'm gonna give me a woman that's drama-free. So hopefully Christine will be drama free. The only thing I'm worried about is when she said people like her on paper, but once they get to know her, it feels different. That's the part I'm still really, really wondering about. I want to make sure that who we see on camera here with Vic and Christine, that those will be the same people a year from now. Because something about the producers, like I said, they didn't believe them. They didn't believe them. Um, what else we got to talk about? Okay, so we got to talk about the clip I saw when Christine, they had this really interesting conversation, really tackling the real questions head on about how Christine feels about having interracial kids, and where she choked up when she talked about that she said it's not a fear. She clearly said, I don't have a fear, but there's something. And what I sensed from it was disappointment. It was something about when she said that I won't be able to relate to my children on that level if my children are interracial. And she says it's not a fear. It's not a fear. So she wasn't afraid of possibly tackling or taking that possible issue head on. She wasn't running from it, but there was a bit of disappointment, right? It's almost like I can do it because I think I have it in my capacity to find a way to do it. But I'm not going to lie to you. It's a little bit disappointing that I have to do it. Okay. Y'all know the difference? One thing is, I can do it if I need to, but there's another part of me that's a little bit disappointed that I'm going to have to do it, that I'm not going to be able to inherently, viscerally, internally connect with my child on that level because I just won't know. And I think it's more important for Christine because I think she can't relate to her mother. You see, when you say, I can't relate to my mother, me and my mother are not close. We don't think alike. We don't believe in the same things. We don't live our lives the same way. We make different decisions. You might yearn for a closer relationship with your own child, one that's different from your mother. And so what Christine is pointing out is I already see an obstacle in that bonding. I see an obstacle that I may not be able to. Now, can she do it? Sure, people do it all the time. People find a way, but that does not erase the disappointment that she may still have, you see. So she talks about how she needs to learn a lot from Vic, a lot from Vic. And Vic is really entrenched in this racial disparity world. I mean, this is another level of it, right? You see, because interracial couples can get together and race may not even come up in your conversation every single day. Like, who walks around all day talking about race? I don't. I'm married to a black man. We don't talk about race every single day. But Vic is entrenched in it. His whole teaching, his whole professorship, everything is about race, racial disparity, inequity. which means it's a big part of his life. It's a big part of his conversation. It's a big part of the information that he ingests on a daily basis. Most people don't. Most people just go about their life all the time. They're not entrenched in that all the time. And my question is, if this is an area in which Christine is uncomfortable with saying she can't connect, then what I'm wondering is, on a more consistent basis, will that further be a problem in her connecting with her own husband? It may not be a problem in other interracial relationships because it's just not a part of their life every single day, but it is a part of Vic's life every single day. So, like I said, is there something about this couple that the producer saw that's made them pause and say, do we believe it? Do we believe it enough to cover it? Because I don't, like I said, I don't believe in the we didn't have enough money. I ran out of money. Because you could have substituted another couple, which I find out there are plenty of other couples that they could have not followed, right? Why this couple? And I know everyone wants to latch on because they're normal, because they don't have any drama. But maybe it's because Netflix also didn't want to get this deep in any sort of racial conversation. I don't know. Like I said, I'm watching this show from the rear, not from where y'all are. My vantage point is completely different. I'm blind. Talk about love is blind. I am blind right here. But according to everything else y'all have said, you are telling me that this is a wonderful, wonderful love story. And y'all know how I love a love story. So what I'm hoping for is that my idea that Netflix didn't believe the couple is not the real issue, and that that's wrong, and that this is a winning couple. We need a winner. We need at least one winning couple a season. I know ain't everybody gonna make it, but we need a winning couple. We do need a winning couple. So I'm looking forward to going forward and watching the rest of these episodes to see this love story unfold. But as I go through this thing, like I said, I'm not gonna be recapping the episodes, but I am gonna come back here and talk to you about things that I'm not quite understanding right now. And so maybe it will still make for an interesting conversation with all of y'all. But let me know what some of the things I said down in the comment. Let me know what y'all think, and I will talk to y'all later. Bye.
You can run, but you can't hide.